All right, so here we are. We are at lesson three. So we're at the brainstem and beyond. So the brainstem is kind of that middle part of the brain that helps connect the brain to the spinal cord. So the brainstem is actually the most primitive part of the brain. It is very early developed. It is something that hasn't changed too much in recent history. So connects to the base of the spinal cord. It also controls the flow of messages between the brain and the rest of the body. Some of its basic functions are pretty much the things we can't control, such as breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, consciousness, other things like sleeping, whenever you're awake, and things like swallowing. So it really controls a lot of our basic functions. We're going to go ahead and skip through these videos for now. So if you want to go back and watch them, as always, definitely go back and do that. But we're going to move on with our parts of the brain. So our medulla is the next one. So this is right at the top of the spinal cord. If you're looking at the picture, it's right above the dotted line, and it's that light pinkish red color. So that controls our vital autonomic functions such as heart rate, breathing, blood pressure. So things that we can't really control. Um, where the most fibers cross, it has opposite side control. So just like some of those areas of the brain, just like our hemispheres where there's opposite side control, this functions the exact same way. Next is our pons. So that thing that looks blue right above the medulla, that is where our pons is. So it's kind of swells out real big. What it does is it helps with other autonomic functions such as breathing and sleep cycles. Next, going down our list, we have the reticular formation. So, kind of at the top of the pons, there's a network of nerves that carry messages between the part of the brainstem. So, what that does is it helps regulate the intensity of pain and it controls some parts of the body. So, it will work with the necessary lobes. It will help people um, focus on useful sensory input and it'll help them filter out unnecessarily stimuli. So, if you hear something and there's a lot of things going on, especially when we talk about the next unit with sensory and perception, it will help you kind of own in on what you need to, focus on the things you need to instead of taking in every single input. Then we have the cerebellum or the little brain. So the cerebellum is right at the base of your skull. What it does is it helps maintain posture, balance, and coordination. So it's allowing different muscle groups in the body to act together to produce a fluid movement. Without the cerebellum, you'll have some people who will be more prone to passing out. You'll have people who have bad posture, who don't have the smooth movements that we associate with being human. So going back up, right above where the pons was at, we have the thalamus. So the thalamus is a very important thing. It's considered the sensory relay station of the brain. So what it does is it processes and transmits movement and sensory information. So it'll take information from all of your senses, so seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, anything like that, and it'll help kind of transmit it to the necessary lobe of the brain to be interpreted and then also to be reacted upon. And if you just want to see kind of a fun video of how your brain is functioning, this video right here shows kind of how it's pulsating, how different areas are being triggered. With every heartbeat, your brain is going to pulsate like that. So that is a very normal reaction. It's a very normal thing that occurs. Again, we're not going to watch the whole or 1 minute 11-second video, but if you want to watch that, you are more than welcome to. So let's move on. So we're going to look at our limbic system. So our limbic system, that is what helps control those basic emotions that help us survive. So as you guys can see, the hypothalamus is part of it, our pituitary gland, our amygdala, and our hippocampus. So this is right below the cerebral cortex, and it's controlling emotions such as fear and aggression. So it's helping with our fight or flight, basic drive. So hunger and sex are two big ones. And then the formation of episodic memories. So memories that we have from the past, that is what is actually being processed within there. So starting with our hypothalamus is going to be that kind of green one that the arrow is pointing at. So that works with a lot of other regions of the brain, and it helps control a lot of those basic hormones and helps us secrete some of those hormones. So it's responsible for controlling hunger, thirst, emotions, body temperature regulation, and circadian or sleep rhythm. The hypothalamus also controls the pituitary gland. So the thing in yellow, it helps secrete hormones to the rest of the body. The hypothalamus is actually controlling that every motion. Next to the hippocampus, which is the blue highlighted thing. Now, as you guys saw, it's definitely not blue in real life, but it is shaped like that. So what that is doing is helping us form, organize, and store memories. And then it's also helping us connect certain sensations to emotions and memories. So for example, when you hear a song and it triggers a certain memory, whether you think of, someone's cooking, you think of a friend that you had in the past or an ex or something like that. Your hippocampus is the thing that's responsible for that. So what it's doing is it's taking in that information and it's saying, hey, I remember this song. This song is tied to this person. I remember this smell. The smell is tied to this situation. So that's where we get a lot of those memories that play out like that from. Next, we have our amygdala, which is that purple area. That is our fear center. So that helps us with emotion and survival responses. During life threatening situations, our fight or flight will kick in. Fight or flight is essentially just, am I going to fight this issue or am I going to run from it? So it does have a big influence in fear and aggression because either you're running from it because you're fearful, you know you're not going to be able to win, or you're aggressing towards it. So that is a big one. We'll talk more about that when we talk about hormones and neurotransmitters. But that amygdala, that fear center, is huge. And if you have someone who has a disorder like PTSD, it may be triggered more often for them. All right. So we already talked about the cerebellum, but this is another semi-realistic picture of the cerebellum. Kind of gives you more of an idea of what all it does. So we are going to go ahead. We are going to end right there. Our next lesson is going to be Unit 4, and we're going to start looking at how do we examine the brain. So we'll talk about studying the structure, studying the activity, and just in general how we study it. So have a great day, and we'll see you guys for Unit 4.